Ash, the municipal manager, the CFO, greetings to you and all the directors that are here and managers today. Councillors, this will be a very short meeting. We are obliged to have it. Believing that the attendance register is circulating. Point number 3, application for leave of absence. There's no leave of absence. All the councillors are present. For any declaration of interest, councillors? Just a reminder, councillors, I believe that there is a form sent by SALCA for declaration of interest. It has been sent. Find it from of council, secretary of councillors up there, so that you can look at it and sign it. It deals with declaration of interest. It's legislation that just came about, so we have to conform. Point, there's no declaration I can see. Confirmation of minutes for previous meetings, open, none. Statement number 6, statements and communications by the Executive Mayor. Thank you, Executive Mayor. On my side, councillors, we will, the item that we're going to now, that is the presentation. It will be presented by Mr. Yusuf Ghani. It will be a short presentation. We gave him 10 minutes. And immediately after that, you are free to ask questions. He's the one who will present it. You will listen to him. So over to you, Mr. Yusuf.
Thank you, Peter. Good morning, goeiemorgen. And Morweni, thank you for giving me this opportunity. We've come up with a project for this region, which is called the African Indigenous Renaissance Project, which is called AIR. So, off the cuff, let me first introduce myself. I'm the CEO for the Cape Town Arts NPC, non-profit organization, that has 2 focuses. One is to develop artists, create employment, and the other is to bring people together through festivals. We're a strong believer in diversity and getting people together to create social harmony. The Cape Town Festival actually was started in 1999 by, some would know, Ryland Fisher, editor of the Cape Times, and it was in response to the Planet Hollywood bombing. For those that's old enough to remember the Planet Hollywood bombing in 1998. Yeah. So it started as a one city, many cultures. And when I drove through it, I see a lot of different cultures, but a lot of rich cultures that are settled here. And I can imagine there must be some differences, maybe man-made differences, whatever other differences. But what I do know is that we can address it through the arts. And I've seen how it has worked over the last 20, 30 years, 20 years actually. So I was CEO from 2003 to 2007. And during that time, we created employment for 1,800 artists every year. And then I left to become an artist. So I do understand exactly the predicament of an artist, especially when COVID came and there were a small percentage that could cope with surviving. 50% of artists actually sold their equipment, 50% changed careers because they didn't have anything else to fall on. So what we focus on is to upskill artists firstly in their own trade, and then secondly, in terms of the business of arts, how to handle yourself as an artist, how to promote yourself as an artist. So in last year, we started a new direction, which is to promote our indigenous arts and culture and our indigenous wisdom, because we have lost a lot of our indigenous wisdom, because there's been such a gap between Western-based education, never actually, accepting or recognizing the wisdom that comes from indigenous arts and from indigenous people. So this is our focus, to highlight indigenous arts, to highlight indigenous cultures, and what better place to do this in the Jewel of the Garden route that already has a captive international audience to promote our indigenous and our rich culture here. So I hope I've got 9 minutes, Mr. Speaker.
Everyone.
Right. So this is basically what I spoke about. So we prioritize sustainable artist development through upskilling and dynamic performance platforms. Our vision is really community arts for community well-being. If there's good arts in a community, there's a sense of well-being. I think over the Easter weekend, a lot of people experience this by, showcasing their own cultures, showcasing their dance, their poetry. I've been out of the Afrikaans language for very specific reasons, because I grew up in an age where I didn't want to speak Afrikaans, but now I've come back to this reason. When it's for me again, there's a pride attached to speaking this language. So in a community that works well, we can promote cultural understanding and social cohesion. So the festival that we propose is one that showcases all the communities in this area, not one specific community. There's been a lot of infighting in terms of indigenous cultures, and this was ours or that was ours. But we want to show that's the way that we can understand that it's ours. Maybe it came from you, maybe the Ohadi came from the Bushmen, and then it was innovatively improved by the Xhosa and the Shona. But at the end of the day, that is evolution. And what we want to say is, so let go of, the past. Yes, we must have an identity, but not to the extent that we start, not talking to each other. So our mission is to meet the personal development and economic needs of rural and local artists. So yesterday I started now in Kranshoek with the Griqua community. I still need to meet with New Ryan, with Kura, and with Kwanakutula to see what are the needs in those areas and how we can bring it together. So to achieve this, we provide upskilling, business and development programs, which I spoke about, and we'd like to influence a change in the perception of the South African public as seeing South African artists as the fabric and the conscience of our society, and also as the custodians of indigenous arts and culture. The African Indigenous Renaissance Project is basically built up in 2 parts. What we'd like to do is to have a partnership with the Bitou Municipality to join hands, and we will basically join hands with all the communities to create a festival that's unique, where everyone is represented, right? But at the same time, we as festival directors and having the expertise of more than 20 years will maintain and ensure that there's high standard as well, so that we can meet the needs of the community, but at the same time also meet the needs of tourism, which is important for the city. So we're hoping that we can have a partnership. We do have a partnership with the South African Human Rights Commission with a Shine project, which is basically a project that talks about sharing our story and interacting with each other. So post-apartheid, following 30 years of democracy, this year we have 30 years of democracy, which is a fantastic platform to host a festival. And the Western-based education system still does not embrace the idea of including culture-inclined resource materials for music teaching. You don't find schools teaching the Uhadi, the Mbira, or whatever else, other indigenous instruments. So I think it's by time after 30 years that we kind of dilute the impact of colonial repression. And I'm not an activist. This is just the reality of what has happened to us. So all South Africans stand to benefit from indigenous and cultural arts practices. So where we would like to do this is in Plettenberg Bay, aka Jewel of the Garden Route. It's a haven for international tourists. But we find the rural settlements and underserved communities facing enormous challenges in the rural settlements of Super, New Horizons, and Kurla. So while the isolation, which is, quiet and the serene of some of these areas are attraction to tourists, the absence of any industry in those areas, I see people, forces people to leave and go and look for employment otherwise. This regarding high rates of unemployment, poverty, and community challenges such as crime, GBV, and all of these factors exist despite the area being a tourist attraction, a huge tourist attraction. Right? Why? I did a very superficial research in terms of what's happening with the arts, and I looked at one. And I'm not trampling on anyone here, but the Plettenberg Bay Arts Association is an association of visual artists. And I went through all the artists that they present, and I didn't find one person of color that was represented. And this, for me, is what is running through the whole industry here. And so the lack of opportunity for disadvantaged artists from rural and underserved community that needs to be addressed, and we'd like to address that together with your assistance. This is two parts of the project. The one is the air entrepreneurship program, where we're going to take a few people, youth, including females, from these 4 areas and put them through an 8-week entrepreneurship program. And it's going to be focused on indigenous instruments. We're going to teach them how to make an ohadi, how to go into the wood, what kind of wood they must get, right? How to actually make it. And then we're going to get a good friend of mine, perhaps some of you would know these Zuplaikis, to come down and come and teach them how to play it. Right? Then we're going to give them events management and marketing program, as well as a business program, how to manage their own businesses. So what, and then we're going to help them where to sell their products. You've got a big Sedgefield market. We've already made contact with that. It's a massive market. So these people will be able to have an outlet for the program, for what they produce. And then they will also have a big platform on the Plet Air Festival, which we hope to run over 2 days, but we could discuss that it could be 1 day as well. So it's integrated. The Plet Festival as well as the, right. We started with artist auditions in all these areas. Then we do a 2-week Indigenous instrument making course, 2 weeks Indigenous instrument playing, then 2 weeks events and management marketing course. And of course, some of them would also be involved in managing the big Plet Festival as well, because they would have received events and marketing management courses. And then business entrepreneurship. Yeah, I think I've basically gone through the outcomes. In essence, it's helped learners to launch their own businesses, right? There was one. This is a budget which I can resend the whole thing again. That is for the entrepreneur program, which is over 8 weeks. And now we come to the Plet. It's a 2-day multi-genre Indigenous Arts Festival. I don't know the area that well, but I know Beacon Island is a good venue, both for tourists and for, I think, for local, and Lunchbox Theatre, but I'm hoping to be guided by the municipality in terms of spaces that we could use for the festival. The morning slot is normally used for children, youth, and emerging artists, and the afternoon for keynote speakers and traditional ceremonies, which is honoring our heritage and ancestors. At the castle in December, we had, I don't know if you know, the 4 kings in the castle, and we had praise singers for each one telling their story, and it was Khoisan and Khoza. Some events would be a Shine Dance Challenge. We saw this working amazingly well, and we probably adjusted to a lot of real dancing for this festival. And there's a children's festival and an Air in Daba symposium to really get people together and talk about how can we improve the festival, how can we come together and further promote Indigenous arts. Right. The outcome is attendance for now, probably between 2,000 to 4,000, it could be much more. Promoting Indigenous arts and culture, not only to our locals, but to international. The long-term vision is to actually put this on an international events calendar. Because you have the location for that. I've already contacted a few international arts festivals, and I think we shouldn't have a problem in terms of cultural exchange with other international festivals. You can create local excellence, because normally when an emerging artist comes onto a big stage, something else happens. They take out the best, and that taste for being up there inspires them to do further. We've seen this happening to our Beyond Busking program that we had in Cape Town. We'll increase tourism, establish Plett as a world-class arts and culture festival location, and add the Plett Air Festival to the international festival calendars. The budget is from a big festival is quite small. In 2006, 2007, I worked with a budget of 4 million, almost 20 years ago. So the reason why we could do this is because I don't get paid by the Cape Town Arts Festival. I manage it, but I get paid by Arriva Arts Foundation to do projects like this. So all the monies that comes in goes towards the actual project. The conclusions. AIR project was established to promote indigenous arts, and creative arts and culture, and the rich heritage of our communities here in the Bitou. We as the Cape Town Arts Festival has the in-house capacity and the expertise of probably it's more than 30 years of management to co-create a arts and culture festival and project. We have witnessed firsthand through successful development programs like Beyond Busking and our events and marketing management, how these programs not only upskill and increase work opportunities, but it reinforces positive attitudes and equips learners with some of the skills they need to help them deal with the circumstances. Artists is it's a very difficult thing to do, being an artist, and you face your inner demons quite a lot. So we help people to face the everyday challenges. I think we all face everyday challenges. And so we do a lot of self-development with the artists. Without these kind of programs, those living in the marginalized areas here in Plett would simply have little or no opportunity to partake in any kind of arts-based learning. It is notable that after 30 years, it's definitely a permanent dislocation between indigenous communities and their cultural arts heritage. Not being kind of exposed, not being accepted, not being okay. This is the marketing. I'm not going to go through that. We use, a full-on professional marketing team to actually get the most out of it. We have a monitoring and evaluation overview where we dissect every part of what we've done to see how we're doing, where we've gone wrong, and how we can improve. And that we do report back to our sponsors and funders. I wanted to play something, but
no. Wrap up.
Okay.
You must wrap up now.
Wrap up now. Okay. Okay. So thank you very much. Is there any pertinent questions at this point in time?
Just need a contact number,
Oh,
contact details. If
okay.
you have cards, or can you give?
Unfortunately, I don't have cards with me, but our speaker has got my number, but I can give it to you now.
Please do.
For those who want to take it down. It's 074 661 7336.
You.
Any other question, Councillor? All right, Mr. Yusuf, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I wish the administration, the new administration, all the best. I love what I'm seeing in the media in terms of Mayor Claude's dedication and new direction in terms of uplifting our previously disadvantaged and still disadvantaged communities. So that is a really great step, and we will do our best to highlight the work of this municipality through our experience and through the arts. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, councillors, let's continue. Point number 8. Items for information which have been dealt with by the executive mayor's firm of delegated authority to be considered at the ordinary council meeting of April 2024. Point number 9, noting of outstanding partially implemented council resolutions to be considered at the ordinary council meeting of April 2024. Point number 10, consideration of reports, non-delegated matters. Right. Right, councillors. Section 1, Office of the Municipal Manager. And continue.
Item under Office of Municipal Managers, item 6/1/28/04/24, appointment of acting director for service for the period 8/2024 1 month, starting on Friday.
The item is 7. Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Okay. Special greetings, Speaker and the councillors. Mayor. I will go with the recommendations that this council appoints Mr. Andy Leonard to that 1 month. I thank you.
Yes.
Seconded, Speaker.
Oh, thank you very much, PM, and the seconder is Councillor Pusa. Next item.
Section 3, corporate services, item 6/3/178/04/24. Municipal council is in delegation to executive mayor prior to the 2024 general, national and provincial elections. Page 12.
Item 7. Yes, Councillor Mangu.
In as much as we appreciate the item that was prepared for this council, however, looking at the intricacies of the business that we actually did deal with as council, I would suggest that we actually refer back the item and reconsider it in the later stage.
PM.
I really second that first, but let's take it back.
All right. Okay, the item has been referred back. Mr. Mayor? Oh,
Boys, this is for the big boys.
no, Council.
The young ones is resting.
Are we referring an item back concerning races? My guys.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Item is not, it's no longer on the table.
You brought the item late yesterday, now you're sending the item back.
Councillor, the item has been.
You guys are not.
All right.
Yo,
Continue.
banana.
We move on to the order of business. Neighbor on the order of business.
All right, urgent matters submitted by the municipal manager, none. Point 12, consideration of notices of motion, none received. Point 13, consideration of notices of questions, none received. Point 14, consideration of motions of exigency, none received. Point 15, in committee matters, no in committee matters for consideration. Point number 16, the recording of councillors present.
Councillor Samke, present.
No, I didn't hear the second.
Councillor Busaka present.
By whom?
Fennell present.
Okay.
Councillor Kam. Present.
Hey, that was.
Impressive.
Councillor Nokutula Teenage City present.
Take this.
Present.
Speaker, before I record my show, is it possible I can get that 6-hour focus?
For what?
Councillor Mitchell present.
Councillor Kolabo present.
Councillor Tablanche present.
Councillor Tapai present. Councillors, thank you very much. Meeting is closed.
Ashton, Speaker.
No, the recess. Speaker.
Speaker.